Views expressed in the videos are my observation, analysis of events, persons based on principles of astrology. It's not my intent to predict, forecast absolute outcomes, only suggest how they may unfold. Nothing is set in stone. I could be wrong, but often I'm right. My desire is not to promote fear, only inform about what we see unfolding. It is our wish to prepare our subscribers for events that could affect them, their family, their goals, and their future, to help to prepare for what you may already suspect is happening, and to send a warning shot across the bow and raise a flag of concern. Our goal is to help, not hinder, in these perilous times, to inspire and offer possible direction, and to reveal that a greater plan and purpose are behind all that is happening. Eventually, we will see a brighter day. If you would like to show your appreciation for our work on these videos or this channel, and also the Knowing Whispers channel, you can always click on the word thanks at the bottom of all the videos. Hello everybody, it's Robert Cosmar of the Astrology of Life YouTube channel and the Substacks Knowing Whispers Messages from the Universe, Trump and America, and also Ask the Astrologer. Today in my video I'm going to take a detour, and instead of talking and focusing upon Donald Trump, I want to focus upon the strength of Joe Biden and his Vedic horoscope. And I want to talk about that because I know that there is a lot of questions, a lot of doubt, a lot of situations that try to discredit him in terms of his suitability to be in the position he's in or to continue as the President of the United States. Hopefully this video today will encourage you to embrace the fact that of all the possible people that could be in the realm of politics and be in the situation that he's in, he is really the best suited man to be dealing with the circumstances, the individual, the energy that is Donald Trump. And I'm going to talk about that in detail here. I mentioned it in the group, in the community section, verbally, but I wanted to show you this because I felt that it's important, because we're talking about karma, fate, and destiny of two individuals, one of them being Donald Trump and one of them being Joe Biden. And his karma, if you want to call it that, his fate and destiny are very strong, and he has some very unusual circumstances in his horoscope here. I will try to do my best to slow this down a little bit so that for those of you that are not accustomed to Vedic astrology, you won't become lost in the discussion. But it's important here to emphasize what we're looking at here. The left hand side here is the Razi, or the Northern Vedic horoscope. These are the dasas. They're very important. Over here are the transits, the current transits. Okay, now if you've watched many of my videos about Donald Trump, and other astrologers have also commented on this, the tremendous strength in his Vedic chart in particular in regards to money and finances, and the fact that no matter what people say about him, what he's convicted of, that he seems to be untouched when it comes to finances. And this is one of the reasons why karma, fate, and destiny are so important to embrace, is that emotionally, our opinions and judgments don't matter. Okay? In the final analysis, it is what is the karma, fate, and destiny of an individual as to how they receive either pain and pleasure in life. Okay? And when it comes to Joe Biden's horoscope, I'm going to be putting my little red arrow here to this placement here. This is Jupiter, retrograde, 2 degrees, Cancer. All right. It is about 2 degrees, 3 degrees off of being exact of its highest exalted position. Planets in Vedic astrology that are very close to, but not beyond, their highest point of exaltation bring exceptional results in a person's life. They are the individuals who are in that realm of lifestyles of the rich and famous, powerful, and you name it. Okay? And if you have looked at enough Vedic charts with planets that are in the signs they own, planets that are close to being exalted, you can prove to yourself that these particular individuals have something extraordinary, okay, about their life that is not usual. Okay, they often talk about Joe Biden's ability to surprise everybody. This is the reason why. Okay, and there are parts in Joe Biden's horoscope that are not easy, and I'll get into that too here in a little bit. But I want to talk about this now. Jupiter throws aspects to the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th houses. So this powerful Jupiter here is throwing an aspect to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, his first house, 6th, 7th, his third house, 8th, 9th, okay, the ninth house here, or actually not the 9th house here, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th house. All right, and I'll try to bring this all together for you. The 9th house represents, it is the most fortunate house in a Vedic chart. It, in some cases, rules the father. It rules foreigners. It rules the legal system, okay, politics to a certain degree. It rules travel, higher learning, education and things like this. It encompasses all of these things. It also encompasses gurus, okay, or the ability to receive higher knowledge and higher understanding, okay, of life, of themselves. All right, so this very powerful, okay, placement of Jupiter is throwing energy to the first house, okay, which not only deals with a person's ability to succeed in life, their physical body, okay, for example, in some respects, their health, all right. It brings good fortune to that person, good luck, the ability to be able to successfully, at the right time, the right moment, the right choices to see success in their endeavors, okay. Now, when it gets to the 7th house, or the 3rd house here, we're talking about communications, we're talking about writing, we're talking about actors, we're talking about detail work and things like this. It can make a person very exceptional in these particular areas of their life, okay? And then we go from the 7th, the 8th, to the 9th house, okay? We're talking about the house that has to do with luck, it has to do with politics, it has to do with sports, it has to do with children, okay? It has to do with creativity. And oddly enough, in this situation, Jupiter is aspecting a house that it rules. So again, it enhances these capabilities. And this is really the whole function of Vedic astrology, is that it can give you an understanding of why it is that in certain areas of your life you are performing extraordinarily well, or why in other parts of your life you may be suffering badly, okay? That is why for any astrologer who particularly is focused on Western astrology, at some point you want to look at Vedic astrology if you hope to be able to give a balanced and a enriched, okay, perspective to your clients about why their life is the way that it is and why they're going through what they're going through. And as always, I recommend my friend, fellow astrologer James Braha, every one of his books from the very beginning, the one that he wrote many years ago on helping Western astrologers to understand the Vedic system. All of his work, okay, is essentially important if you hope to be able to grasp and comprehend the Vedic system itself. So, again, what I'm trying to do here is to show you that Joe Biden is a very fortunate man by his own karma and his own fate and his own destiny, okay? and that very few people, okay, you can find a lot of people with Jupiter in the ninth house, but to have Jupiter in the sign that it's exalted in and the degree or 2 to 3 degrees moving towards that exaltation is extraordinary. And you need a person like this who has extraordinary grace, extraordinary karma, fate, and destiny to compete against someone with such a strong horoscope that Donald Trump has, okay, which is of a darker nature, but it is no doubt very strong and very powerful in certain areas, as well as being very weak in other areas. Okay, so Joe Biden, extremely fortunate, okay, extremely blessed as a politician, extremely blessed in being able to do things that when people count him down and when he gets, criticism and things like that. And by the way, if you wonder why it is that people are so at times against him and they count him out, in his natal chart, Saturn is in the 7th house. This is the house of the other or people. Okay? There's also many things here about loss that he's gone through. We know that, I believe that his first wife and possibly a daughter were killed in an auto accident or something like that. Okay. He also lost a son. Okay. So Saturn in the 7th house is going to be a house where you're going to experience troubles, hardship, heartache, and things of this nature. And fortunately, he has Venus in his 1st house, which throws an aspect to that Saturn. And of course, Saturn throws an aspect to the Venus. So this area of relationships with him is filled with problematic circumstances and trouble from time to time. But when it comes to the overall, feeling of the chart, you cannot ignore the exalted position here of Jupiter in Cancer in that 9th house, because what it means is that, yes, the person's life is tragic in many certain areas, relationships, marriage, maybe, and other things like this. Okay. But overall, the overall scope of his life is one of a successful individual who's able to accomplish much because that is his karma, fate, and destiny. Okay. And by the way, all of what I'm saying to you here also works for you in your life. If you truly want to understand and know why you're like the way that it is, you want to take a look at the Vedic system. Okay. All right. Now, what about the chart here of Joe Biden is concerning or problematic to astrologers that are looking at Joe Biden's chart? All right. I mentioned about Saturn here. Saturn aspects the 3rd, the 7th, and the 10th houses, okay, of a person's Vedic chart. It brings trials, tribulations, heartache. All right. In this situation, you can see here that this Saturn throws an aspect to this, to this placement of Jupiter. All right. This brings harm. It diminishes the power of that Jupiter, even though that Jupiter is extremely strong. Okay. It can be hurt. Okay. Obviously. Okay. It brings issues in regards to his public perceptions. Okay. How people perceive him, how people count him out. Okay. And then the 10th house here. Okay. The home life. Okay. Which also, by the way, has Ketu in here. All right. It can bring unhappiness. It can bring sorrow. Okay. And again, with Saturn, it's the 3rd house. Okay. The 7th house, 8th, 9th, and the 10th house. All right. Now, what is going on now with Saturn? Because Saturn is really where you have to take into consideration what is happening to Joe Biden and also what may happen to Joe Biden. Okay, despite the fact of the all-powerful Jupiter there. And by the way, by transit right now, it is in the 7th house. So that helps in some way to minimize the damage of what this Saturn natally does. All right. However, okay, Saturn is by transit in Joe Biden's 4th house. All right. This is the house that governs happiness. It governs real estate. It governs relationships with the mother. It governs major purchases to a certain degree. But overall, it is a sense of happiness. Is your life peaceful, or are you struggling through worries and concerns and things like this? Even though it is in the home of Aquarius that it rules in this particular system, which does give it a benefic quality, but it doesn't totally erase what Saturn does, okay? And bringing extra responsibilities, burdens, heartache, and things of this particular nature, okay? Now, it also is a fact that as of September the 23rd, 2022, Joe Biden began his Saturn Dasa. And to get an idea of what this is going to do, you have to take a look at the placement of the planet in the natal chart, okay, aspects to it, aspects that it gives, and then also the second planet here. This won't go into Mercury until 2025, so he's still at this peak of Saturn energy, focusing on here, okay? Fortunately, Jupiter for now is here, all right? But normally when you have a Saturn Dasa, unless it is very benefically aspected, or it's in its own sign, or it's to an exalted extent, you're talking about what you're saying. This is this situation of Joe Biden being assaulted and attacked and, brutalized by the media, brutalized by Trump, brutalized by MAGA, okay? And they all think that this is going to assure them that they'll win in November, okay? Now, in all honesty, the placement of Saturn, the condition of Saturn, okay, in both the natal chart and by transit is concerning, okay? But also the power of Jupiter in the natal chart and by transit and where it's placed is also a sign of hopefulness, okay? This Saturn here that's in the 4th house also throws an aspect to the 10th house, although that says Leo here, the 10th house. So again, you have to be able to weigh and measure the force and strength of all these planets and the combinations to get a sense of which one will be more powerful, which one will reveal more of the outcome of what we could see happening, okay? And in all honesty, that is not a simple and easy thing to do, all right? But going back to what I said when I did this video in the beginning, okay, you want a person with Joe Biden's chart to be the president of the United States in dealing with Donald Trump and the MAGA because of this placement of Jupiter that close to being exalted in its exalted sign of Cancer in the 9th house. All right. This is an individual that has grace, that has ability, that has fate and karma on their side. All right. To counteract the same dark equivalent that we see being manifested in Donald Trump. Okay. So for all of you out there that may want to, because Joe Biden is too old, okay, to see somebody else in there, such as Kamala Harris, I don't think you want that. Kamala Harris has Saturn in her 9th house. It isn't a sign that it rules, but it's still Saturn. And it's one of the reasons why there is a certain unfavorableness about her. You know, you don't know why. You know, you may at times like what you hear, like what she says, like what people think about her. And then at other times, there is this almost invisibility about her, or this unknown factor, this questioning of her ability under fire maybe to handle things. Could she handle Trump? Could she handle the MAGA crowd? Could she handle massive global, catastrophes and things like this? Joe Biden is more likely to be able to do that. And why is that? Because this placement gives him an inner knowledge, an inner understanding beyond the norm of how things are, a wisdom, so to speak, of what is going on, so that his decisions are not based upon his emotions. Okay, that is the gift of an older individual, okay, who has Jupiter close to exalted in the ninth house of their chart. A younger person may be willing to make decisions, but if they're too emotional, okay, they can be the wrong decision. They're not deep enough in their sight, their foresight, to be able to understand the ramifications of those decisions. Okay, so again, I think I'm going to call this Joe Biden, thank our lucky stars, all right, because I think that we are fortunate, very fortunate, to be able to have him as president, and hopefully he'll be reelected. But as I mentioned throughout this video, there is no guarantee here. There is no guarantee here. The universe is behind the scenes, orchestrating this through the karma of the lives of the individuals, okay, that are playing in this game, so to speak, or this play that we're watching. And we all have to take seriously the responsibility for how we address this. Do we address it emotionally? Do we bite into the fear? You know, do we buy into the anger and the hatred? Is that our last, you know, chapter of our story? Or do we find a way consciously, okay, to see the good in ourselves and to see the good in life and humanity, and begin to make changes that are truly respectful to ourselves and the planet and others, okay? And to kind of encapsulate things, you know, by now you should be getting a feeling, more of a feeling about things that are more uneasy, okay? Because if you watch the news, if you watch the internet about the news and stuff, you know, you can see here that Trump is successfully stalling a lot of prosecutions, and there's a lot of stuff in terms of lies that are being put out there to counter, you know, democracy and Joe Biden and things like that. And, you know, it's like anything when it comes to news. If it's violent, if it's deadly, they're going to put it out there because people are drawn to that. Okay, we're drawn to those accidents. We want to know what's going on. Fortunately, it also pollutes us in the process. So we're getting more Trump pollution, and it's only going to get better throughout the entire summer that this is going to go on. And as I mentioned on other videos, the monkey wrench of the whole thing for Trump is when Uranus squares his Mars. This could create a serious change, okay, for him. Also, trying to remember whether I had mentioned this in a previous video, his progressed midheaven is moving into the 1 degree of being exact to his 12th house, Pluto. This could be a big game changer. This could be a change in the direction and course of his life. Okay, obviously, when you're talking about Pluto, it can be one in which extreme control is exercised, or it can be one in which a tremendous transformation occurs that's unexpected, unanticipated. Okay? All right. I think I've said as much as I can say here. I hope that it's clear to you and it helps you to understand a little bit more why Joe Biden is the man. Okay? And that there's probably very few, if any, that can actually match a chart like this, and that why you should vote for Joe Biden. Okay? Provided that everything, you know, his health and everything continues to be the way that it is. I want to remind you of the Substack newsletters that myself and CJ have over on the platform Substack. Mine are called Knowing Whispers Messages from the Universe. There is also one over there called Trump and America, and the third one is called Ask the Astrologer. And then CJ has two. One is called CJ's World, and the other one is called CJ's Whispers of Knowing, where she shares insights from her guidance as well. And that's to nurture and support you in the process of this emotional turbulence that we're all having to deal with. Okay? I also want to mention, for those of you that still are on Facebook, that we have created a joint group there. It's a small group. It's called Knowing Beyond Believing. And its purpose is to help you to get more serious insight into the nature of the process of awakening and awareness. where CJ and I talk honestly about our experiences and about our feelings, our failures, um, the things that we've overcome, the things that we have learned, okay, through the process of our own growth in our own life, and how we've been able to work with our guidance and to be in a situation where we can offer support and help to those that may be struggling, okay, through these very, very challenging times that we're dealing with. So keep that in mind. It's over on Facebook. It's called Knowing Beyond Believing. And there's some good people over there. Okay. Again, I hope that this gives you an idea of how important Joe Biden is, and that you do seriously understand the importance of him being in that position. Okay. Because we're talking here about really the karma, fate, and destiny of the United States of America. Okay, as well as the world. It's that important. Okay, from the low of my life, CJ, we want to thank those of you that are members, subscribers, that have donated. We appreciate that. Keep in mind that on the 29th, I'll be doing another live stream, Trump Talk and Awakenings. I may have to move that to 11 o'clock instead of 10, but I'll let you know about that. So we have a lot to do. There's a lot of videos I need to do. There's a lot of live streams I need to do. There's a lot of comments that I need to address to help you to be prepared for the potential emotional shock of all the things that we could see happening. Okay. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, okay, from the love of my life, CJ, my spiritual partner, my best friend, the love of my life, we thank you, all of you, for your devotion, I guess, to the content and to what we're doing. And we hope that we don't let you down in terms of supporting your needs and your growth. Thank you for watching.